What if the fastest way to disable a modern city isn't through heavy bombing, but by simply shutting off its power? At 3:13 a.m., low-confidence contacts begin to appear on Russian air defense displays. Small radar returns are moving at 110 to 140 kilometers per hour, flying below 300 feet. At first, the tracks are unstable, flickering in and out as terrain interference masks their signatures. Radar filters are adjusted. Signal strength increases. The contacts resolve into multiple inbound objects spread across a 12-kilometer front. Air defense batteries shift to combat mode. Long-range systems engage first, prioritizing the clearest returns at higher altitudes. 4 interceptors are launched in rapid succession. The intercept geometry is clean. Several unmanned aircraft are destroyed at distances beyond 15 kilometers. Their wreckage scatters across the frozen ground. For a moment, the screens look empty. Then, new tracks appear, lower and slower. They are flying at 20 to 40 meters above ground level, partially hidden by forest lines and shallow valleys. Detection range collapses from kilometers to seconds. Target separation becomes difficult. Engagement responsibility is passed to short-range systems. Autocannons open fire at ranges under 3 kilometers. Thousands of rounds are sent into the night. More drones are hit. Several disintegrate mid-air. Debris falls, burning briefly before disappearing into the snow. But not all targets are eliminated. A small number, 5, then 4, remain visible. Their speed increases to over 280 kilometers per hour. Altitude drops further. They pass through the inner defensive ring intact, now less than 90 seconds from the protected zone. Operators attempt re-engagement, but angles worsen and reaction time vanishes. The remaining aircraft hold unaffected, crossing the final perimeter line. At 3:20 a.m., the surviving drones do not change course. After passing through the outer defensive ring, 4 unmanned aircraft remain on Russian tracking screens. Their signatures are stable. Speed holds at 270 to 290 kilometers per hour. Altitude drops below 25 meters, placing them deep inside terrain clutter where radar performance degrades sharply. Air defense crews react immediately. Short-range systems are brought online. Engagement zones shrink from kilometers to seconds. Operators now have less than 90 seconds to act before the aircraft reach protected infrastructure. Autocannons open fire again. Thousands of rounds fill the air, saturating predicted flight paths. One drone is hit at close range. Its control surfaces fail, and it spirals into the snow less than 2 kilometers from the perimeter fence. A second disappears behind a tree line and does not reappear. Whether destroyed or masked, no confirmation comes, but 2 targets remain. They fly lower still, briefly dropping to under 15 meters. They move fast enough that fire control systems struggle to maintain lead. Engagement geometry collapses. Turret depression limits become a factor. Tracking is possible, but firing solutions are not. Inside command vehicles, the tone shifts. Voices tighten. Target calls overlap. Operators attempt handoffs between systems designed to work in sequence, not simultaneously under pressure. The drones do not maneuver aggressively. They do not deploy countermeasures or flare. They simply maintain speed and heading, trusting the calculations made hours earlier. Distance to the protected zone falls below 1,500 meters. At this range, every delay matters. Reload cycles are incomplete. Targeting windows are measured in fractions of a second. The defensive net, effective moments ago, now shows gaps that cannot be closed in time. The remaining aircraft cross the final engagement line. Ahead of them, the terrain opens. Heat signatures begin to emerge, large, fixed, and unmistakable. At 3:25 a.m., beyond the final tree line, the target compound fills the sensors. 3 step-up transformers dominate the site, each standing over 12 meters tall. Each radiates intense heat into the frozen air. Against the surrounding snow, they appear unmistakable. The remaining drones accelerate. Speed pushes past 310 kilometers per hour. Altitude holds between 18 and 22 meters, low enough to stay below effective firing angles. Guidance systems are fully locked. There is no deviation and no correction, only a straight line attack profile. Short-range defenses attempt one last response. A burst of cannon fire tracks the lead drone but misses by meters. Reaction time is gone. The first drone slams directly into the steel casing of the nearest transformer. The moment of contact triggers detonation. The 28-kilogram shaped charge fires instantly at impact, driving a focused jet through the metal housing. Inside, more than 40,000 liters of dielectric oil are breached at extreme temperatures. A fireball erupts upward, engulfing the transformer frame. Burning oil floods the switchyard below. Shockwaves ripple outward, cracking panels and shattering windows across the control building. Less than 2 seconds later, the second drone impacts the adjacent unit at full speed. Contact and detonation occur as one. Control cabling is severed. Cooling systems fail instantly. Internal pressure spikes beyond tolerance. The transformer ruptures violently. Power load shifts abruptly to the remaining unit. Protective systems attempt isolation, but the surge overwhelms internal insulation. Oil ignites. Flames rise above the compound, visible from kilometers away. Within seconds, station output collapses by over 65%. Voltage destabilizes across connected transmission lines. Automated safety systems trip in rapid sequence. The grid does not shut down cleanly. It collapses under its own weight. At 3:30 a.m., the explosions at the transformer yard do not end the engagement. Across the perimeter, Russian air defense units remain active. They are reacting to a battle space that is no longer clean or predictable.
It's rejecting the
Radar
override.
screens are
We
cluttered
locked
with
out of the
debris
main
signatures and ground reflections. Intermittent returns appear from aircraft that no longer exist. Fire control systems struggle to separate targets from noise. Short-range batteries continue firing. Autocannons cycle at near maximum rate, sending over 4,000 rounds per minute into sectors where threats were last detected. Missile crews initiate reload procedures. Launch rails sit empty. Thermal signatures from overheated barrels begin to appear on internal diagnostics. Engagement efficiency drops sharply. In less than 6 minutes, multiple batteries have expended more than 70% of their ready ammunition. Reload crews move under stress, handling canisters weighing hundreds of kilograms while systems remain partially active. Safety interlocks delay firing authorization. Every delay compounds the problem. Command traffic increases and orders overlap. Track data is reassigned, then reassigned again. Systems designed to operate in layered sequence are now forced to act simultaneously, outside their optimal engagement envelopes. What was a structured defense is becoming a reactive one. Then, the critical report moves up the chain. Several units signal the same status. Reload in progress. Estimated time to restore full firing capability ranges from 2 to 3 minutes, depending on system and crew readiness. In isolation, the delay is manageable. In the middle of an active engagement, it is a critical gap. During that gap, sensors remain online, but weapons do not. Radar coverage continues to search, but engagement authority is limited. Operators can see potential contacts forming at low altitude, but firing solutions cannot be generated without armed launchers. The defensive net holds its shape, but its teeth are gone for a brief window. The system is watching instead of stopping. That window is enough, because the next phase of the attack was never designed to challenge the defense at full strength. At 3:35 a.m., the next contacts do not arrive as a formation. They appear suddenly, climbing out of the southern valley in scattered bursts. 8 unmanned carrier drones execute a sharp pop-up maneuver. They rise from under 30 meters to nearly 800 meters in seconds. The profiles are brief but unmistakable. Then, their payload bays open. Each carrier releases 2 compact FPV quadcopters. This brings 16 new airborne objects into the airspace almost simultaneously. The transition is immediate. The quadcopters power up mid-air, rotors screaming as they accelerate away from their platforms. Unlike the earlier drones, these do not fly straight. They dart, hover, climb, and then drop abruptly. Speeds vary from 120 to 160 kilometers per hour. Direction changes occur in fractions of a second. Their flight paths overlap, intersect, and then separate again. To radar and fire control systems designed for smooth ballistic trajectories, the picture becomes unstable. Tracking algorithms begin to fail. Target IDs flicker, and reticles jump. Engagement solutions reset repeatedly.
Why did we stop?
Operators attempt manual overrides, but the volume of motion overwhelms the interface. The sky fills with conflicting vectors. Autocannons open fire again. Multiple systems unleash sustained bursts, throwing tens of thousands of rounds into the air.
Comms are down.
Tracer lines crisscross the darkness, forming a temporary wall of fire. Several FPVs are destroyed outright, breaking apart mid-air. Burning fragments spiral downward, but others slip through. Some FPVs pass directly through gaps in the fire. Others dive sharply at the last moment, exiting predicted impact zones milliseconds before rounds arrive. The defensive firepower is immense, yet its effectiveness drops with every second of confusion. Carrier drones become secondary targets. 2 are hit and disintegrate. A third loses lift and crashes into the forest edge. Still, several FPVs remain airborne, weaving between debris and tracer fire. The defense is firing continuously. The sky is saturated, and control is slipping. This phase was never about destroying defenses outright. It was about forcing them to look up while the decisive damage had already been done below. At 3:40 a.m., the air battle fades faster than it began. As the last FPV signatures disappear from radar, Russian air defense crews begin to lower their weapons. Barrels glow from heat. Launch rails sit empty or half reloaded. The sky above the compound finally clears, but the ground below tells a different story. The transformer yard is no longer a functional site. Flames burn uncontrolled, fed by tens of thousands of liters of ignited dielectric oil. Fire suppression systems activate but quickly lose pressure. Internal sensors report temperatures exceeding 900 degrees Celsius near the core of the damaged units. Structural steel begins to deform. Inside the control building, alarms cascade. Grid frequency drops sharply from 50 Hz to below 44 in less than a minute. Automated protection systems across the region initiate emergency shutdowns to prevent turbine damage. Power plants dozens of kilometers away disconnect themselves from the network. The blackout spreads outward. Within 4 minutes, more than 30,000 households lose power. Electric heating systems fail. Rail signaling drops to backup mode. Traffic control switches to battery operation. Data links supporting regional command nodes begin shutting down non-essential loads. This is no longer a single facility failure. It is a systemic event. Replacement timelines scroll across internal assessments. Each destroyed transformer requires specialized manufacturing, heavy transport, and months of installation. Even under optimal conditions, full restoration is estimated at 14 to 18 months. There are no reserve units nearby and no rapid fixes. Outside, air defense commanders take stock. In less than 15 minutes, defensive units expended ammunition valued at over $30 million. Dozens of interceptors were fired, and thousands of rounds were used. The sky was defended successfully by every visible metric. Yet, the objective was never in the sky. It was fixed. It was slow, and it could not move. As smoke rises into the frozen night, one reality becomes clear. The defense stopped the attack it expected, but not the one that mattered. The lights are out, and time is now the real enemy. When the smoke finally thins, nothing is moving anymore. The air defense systems are still standing. Radar dishes still rotate. Launch vehicles remain parked where doctrine says they should be. On paper, the defense worked. Targets were detected. Interceptors were launched. Most of the incoming drones never made it through, and yet, the city is dark. This is the uncomfortable truth of modern warfare. Victory is no longer measured by how many threats you shoot down, but by which ones you fail to stop. A handful of low-cost aircraft, timed correctly and aimed precisely, erased infrastructure that cannot be replaced quickly. Months of manufacturing, specialized transport, and global supply chains were all undone in minutes. No frontline collapsed, and no capital was captured.
Target locked.
But
Weapons
control
free,
was
awaiting
lost.
authorization.
Russia did not lose because its systems were weak. It lost because those systems were optimized to fight the wrong fight. They were looking up, firing fast, and responding perfectly to threats that were designed to be seen. Meanwhile, the real damage happened below radar coverage, against targets that never move and never dodge. This wasn't a battle of firepower, it was a battle of understanding. So now, the question shifts to you. If you were responsible for defending a modern nation, where would you invest? Would you spend more on stopping what flies, or in protecting what cannot be allowed to fail even once? In the wars ahead, the most dangerous attacks may not announce themselves with explosions. They may announce themselves with silence. If this analysis made you rethink modern warfare, let me know your thoughts below.